So I want to put your mind in a certain environment so that you can follow me and understand. We're talking about the wolf, the predatory dog, the person who behaves this way. Where do we see these predators in our everyday life? Let's look at the race, right? The human race. Take your mind to National Geographic Channel, the Nature Channel, and just envision those documentaries and things that you've seen where you have the groups of animals traveling on this journey with their families, the young, the old, all of them. They're traveling. They have to do this every year. In this journey, they're going to face all types of difficulty, all types of threats, all type of obstacles they need to overcome, all different types of weather, but they're doing it together because they have to, right? You don't see other creation, you don't see other animals, you don't see other creation functioning on its own, because if it does, it's going to get devoured and consumed by predators. The same thing happens with the human race. Now imagine the human race as a part of this race, like we see the animals with their groups on their journey. Imagine the human race as a part of this race. We are a part of it. We don't want to believe it. We think that we are so far advanced beyond the rest of the creation, that we're God Himself now, and that we don't belong to the way things function. But actually, we do. And these things are put here for us to examine because we're the most intellectual creation that we know of, right? Or that we claim to know of. So all of these animals are on their way to this water source. Now, the incredible thing about this is that this water source is a shared source, that all of these animals that typically wouldn't even hang out with each other, they're going to this water source. They're going to be drinking. They did all of this work on this journey, risking their lives to get to this water source, this shared, clean, drinkable water source. And what we can take away from that as human beings is that we're supposed to be doing the same thing as a unit. We're supposed to be traveling to come to this place where we can make this connection with all of creation, right? That we are a part of the same divine order. Now, what have we done in the race? What are we doing in the race? We're acting like predators don't exist. The reason that these animals stay together is because they know that predators are real. They exist. They're going to get devoured. Okay, they're going to get eaten alive if they don't stay together. Why would we think that doesn't apply to us? I don't know why we would think it, because we already see it happening. We see what's happening now that we're functioning as individuals. But the elevated animals, they protect their young. They protect their old. They do it out of fear that there's a predator, right? So we're failing to see each other as a group. We're supposed to be the crown of creation. We're failing to see each other as a group, and animals are still capable of doing it. I think they've outdone us in that area for sure. We could literally be with our family members, literally be in a community, and still find a way to function as an individual. Then when the wolf actually gets one of us, this is something that's very interesting. When the wolf actually, or the predator actually gets to one of us, right? We don't blame the environment. We don't blame the situation that has allowed the predator to come. The fact that we're all responsible for functioning as a unit and as a community, but we've chosen not to, right? And we've created a situation for predators. We just go ahead and blame the predator. That's like setting a trap and getting mad at the predator for falling into the trap. So some examples of this, when COVID happened, you have, and I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about this, but this is mine. And it's really an observation. When COVID happened, the government had all this money that it was giving out to people that didn't have money. Okay. And you just had to apply, right? These are people that are in debt, don't have money, have all these kind of concerns. And whether it was right or wrong of them to, fill out these applications, lie, take the money, that's a lot like putting hungry people in a grocery store and saying, don't eat the food, right? How much of the blame should be on the circumstance that you put them in, right? Another example, the incident with Bill Cosby. If he's guilty of being a predator and doing those things that it is said he did, if he is absolutely guilty of doing that, and women decided, hey, I'm going to head out at 2 a.m. and, no, just go check on I'm hanging out with my friend Bill, like, they're also guilty. What is it? How do we have a solution or change things if we're not going to look at both sides? We don't want to talk about the environment that we're all creating, where we're functioning as individuals, and then when things happen, we're flabbergasted and we only want to blame the predator. We have a lot to do with why things are the way they are. We have a lot to do with people coming in and kidnapping young girls out of our communities. People bringing drugs into our communities, and our children wanting to partake in that kind of behavior. There's so many things going on with predators. We have a huge responsibility in what's happening. But if we're not going to look at it and we're going to pretend like, oh, there are bad people out there doing bad things, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's just, I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to have a solution if we don't start looking at society and saying, hey, you know what? I'm willing to give up. I'm willing to sacrifice some of my pleasures and enjoyments in order to make this a safer place, so that we don't have people, taking advantage of young boys, women, children, the way that they are now. And we know it's only going to get worse, because it's not like people are gaining morals. People are losing their moral behavior. And for the 1,000th time, I'll say it again. When you are ignorant and you don't have the intelligence to deal with situations or to protect yourself, the morals is the only thing that you do have that's going to do that for you. So that's a point that I would like people to talk about. I would like to hear more conversations around that particular thing. Now, when wolves and dogs get together, right? When we have no protection and we're in wolf territory, and we got people that are acting like dogs and acting like wolves, and we're mixing. Wolves and dogs can actually mate. They do mate. There are species of wolves and dogs that actually mix together. And when I say mate, it's two sides of that. Yes, it's the physical side, where we have relationships of men and women who are together, but one of them is a predator who's feeding off of the other one and taking advantage of the other one. But there's also mating in terms of intermixing, building together, business, melding together, sharing together, those kind of things. So we're talking about, when the scripture is saying the wolf befalls the sheep, that's when we get into, you have vulnerable people that are mixing and mating with predators. This is happening. How many African American women have been molested by family members? How many young boys have been molested by family members? People in your very close quarters taking advantage of you. How long has this stuff been going on? And not just African American, it's happening in all races. It's happening with Mexicans, happening with all of the races. You have the lack of morals opening up these doors. A huge reason that we are bait for the wolf is because, like I said before, we accumulate these possessions, we accumulate all this stuff around us, and we're distracted. So no, our mind is not thinking about predators. We're barely able to manage all of the possessions that we've acquired. You're working 8 to 10 to 13 hours a day trying to pay a bill. So you're not even there. You're not even available to look out for those you're responsible for. right? We're all guilty of this on some level. We are guilty of this neglect, and unfortunately, some of us have had to have real situations happen where someone has died, someone's life was taken, someone's, something terrible has happened. But that shouldn't be, we shouldn't be so reactionary. I mean, I think we're coming to a time now where we're not going to have a choice anymore. People are losing their morals so quickly and doing such heinous things now that we're going to pretty much have to be, we need that protection, and we need our men. We need our men to participate in that and not to be afraid about what we might say to them or what other people think. Get involved. Just do it. I mean, what do you have to lose? you know. But there's a story, the children's story about three little pigs, and we know pigs are symbolic of greed, right? That's why I don't eat pork. But we know pigs are symbolic, and that's nothing against you if you eat pork, but it's bad for you, and I don't recommend that people eat pork. They pretty much eat everything. I'm going to do a series on the pig. Maybe that'll help you change your mind. Maybe it won't, but it's worth a try. But yeah, so you have these three pigs. One of the pigs obviously clearly was an intellectual who knew how to protect his possessions. Most of us are not like that. Most of us are like those other two pigs that had all of their possessions, didn't know how to prioritize them, what to do with them, and so the wolf devoured them. They got eaten by the wolf, right? So how are we managing? What are we willing to build? What are we willing to do to protect ourselves, our possessions? Whether it's your body, whether it's learning how to organize and control your material goods, your wealth, things like that protect you from people that are there to take it from you. So let's just take a look at us, though. Let's just take a nice clean look. A lot of us, we bring children into the world before we have the money or the resources to make sure that they have what they need to compete, right? To compete in the race, with all these other people, the intellectuals, those that are the movers and shakers, the builders, the innovators. We don't even allow our children a chance to be a part of that if we're not prepared for them to come into the world. And again, most of us are guilty of it because we just haven't been thinking this way. But that's what we're talking about. That's why we're talking about it. Maybe we can change that. Who sees this as an injury? Who sees this as an injury, and who wants to eat off of it? Right? This is how you have to start clicking your mind and changing your mind. What is it about doing this that is putting me in harm? Right? And who is the predator in this situation? We get credit card debt before we understand how to use a credit card. So we can't compete in the financial race. We can't compete in the race to obtain wealth, and not with other people who are prepared, who understand these things. We're not able to compete. Who is going to benefit off of this injury of me not knowing what to do with my finances and my credit card, and how to save, and how to beat my debt, and how to not have to work day to day so that I can have time to spend with my children and my family, and some of these very important things that I'm supposed to be living for, so that we can all be in the human race together, reaching our journey together. We sleep with our men, and women sleep with men sleep with women before we commit. So we can't compete in the race to build successful family and community life. And who benefits from this injury? Who gets to make money off of this? Who gets to enjoy themselves and sit back with their handkerchief on and their knife and fork, eating off of this situation, right? We eat to live instead of living to eat. So we can't compete in the race toward good health. We can't compete in that race. We're failing in that race. Who gets to eat off of this injury? Who's looking for this injury? Who's the wolf in this situation, right? An injury, an injury is a disadvantage. Who wants you to have an injury so that they can consume you? What is your injury, right? Take a look at, let's take a look at our own lives. What, where do we fall in? Are any of these things true for us? Maybe we can identify whether someone is eating off of us, whether someone is consuming us so that we can't pay attention to the things we need to pay attention to, right? A lot of times when you see someone advertising and promoting something, they're doing it through a weakness or an injury of yours. It's presented in such a way where you'll be interested in it. Here's the other thing. It's real interesting, real tricky. That same person, right? They're all. This is how you know you're dealing with a wolf. That same person is there with the solution. They're always there. You have a problem, they've got a solution. It's just this thing where it's in and out, back and forth, over and over again. You're just, I don't know. I want to say the word mating, but you're just, there's a word for it. Can't think of it at this time. But you are interacting with this person constantly. This person who's trying to take advantage of you. When a predator gets close to you like that, there is there's a mindset that happens if you're not aware that this person is a predator, and unfortunately, a lot of mental abuse, even physical abuse, those things that take place when you have to deal with someone who's a predator and playing these kind of games with your mind, and with your resources and with your possessions. And so sometimes we're defeated. Sometimes we're not even able to come out of it. Sometimes we die in it, never even knowing until until someone brings it to our attention. Some of us will never know, that we're with a predator, that someone has been doing something to us. We're too valuable our spirit and our soul is too valuable to and too sensitive, and cannot handle just long-term exposure to someone eating off of you, just like in physical real life. So if you're not able to determine who this is or what this is in your life, how are you gonna overcome it? The other thing that happens, another mindset that is created is, once you start acquiring so many possessions in your life, and you no longer have time to deal with social issues and sensitivities and really tackling the emotional side of things, your happiness starts being more geared towards possessions. You start living for it. You start treating people like their possessions, meaning you want a wife, you want children, you want to possess them, because you wouldn't even say that you want a wife unless if you were being sincere and authentic about it and not being a dog about it or a wolf about it. You would be thinking a lot more deeply, who is this soul that I want to be with? Who is this? What is this soul? What is it like? Who is this person deep down in her soul? Who is this child? What kind of soul do I want to bring up? When this soul enters this world, this child, what kind of soul do I want what do I want to foster? And how will we come together? With a man, what kind of soul is this that I'm going to put my soul in contact with, right? When you stop thinking about people as possessions to have, meaning I want someone to go out with, I want someone to be with, I want to have kids so I can love on them and raise them, but love doesn't equal getting to know them in their soul. That's when it really you're taking the soul out of the body. You're really just asking for a possession, right? And as people, that's why we keep losing. This is why we can't stay in relationships. This is why you have people out here shooting people with rifles and things that kill whole groups of people. These mass shootings. This is why you have people. Not only are you robbing an elderly person, you're going to stomp them into the ground and kick them in the stomach and in the head. There's no way that you can believe a soul is in that body, right? There's no way that but this is why I'm saying this idea of protection is so important right now, because now that people are seeing each other as not people, then there you should be we all should be a little more concerned about protection. So sharing the most intimate parts of yourself with someone shouldn't be so easy. It shouldn't be something that you're not afraid to do, honestly. You know, some of these things on the news now, I just honestly, I cannot watch the whole thing. I'll watch bits and pieces of it, but that's it, because it's just too much. Okay. Um, this is another reason why it's so easy for us to denounce spiritual teachings, because if we're not seeing each other as souls, as sensitive, human, precious souls, then why would we need spiritual teaching? Why would we need someone to come in and foster our spirituality and concern and sensitivities toward one another and wanting to bring people together? Um, we're pushing all the things that would foster a good human spirit, an elevated human being. We're leaving off of that, right? We are becoming like possessions ourselves. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, because we've forgotten this, we believe we've completed the race once we've acquired all of our goals, right? How many of us have goals that include our children or our spouse or our family or our community elevating into a position of authority, a position of peace and authority and tranquility and evolvement and inheritance? How many of us have that goal? How many of us have completed that goal, right? So that's what I want us to start thinking about. You know, instead of treating each other like a piece of flesh, um, you know, it's dehuman. It's dehumanizing. It's like you start wondering if, you know, if you should have the mindset that some people are human beings and some people are animals, you know, and if walking around like that would be better for you, and trying to figure out who the animal would be. But you also have, we're also seeing this treatment in big business, you know, the way they treat us as if we don't have a soul. Here's all the sex and flesh in the world, accessible at your discretion, but be responsible and have a good marriage. Here's every type of alcohol that you could ever drink, but drive safe, put your seatbelt on, don't get too tipsy. Here's every drug you could dream of, but don't go shopping if you're depressed. Don't go, you know, just don't take too much. Here's all the violence that you and your kids can handle on TV and on every device, but don't kill anybody. Just, you know, play it safe. We're not designed to be able to do that. We are not designed to be able to do that. But this is us pretending, okay? This is us pretending like we can handle it. We're not even designed to be able to handle that, right? So if we want to start functioning like elevated human beings, we have to start understanding that we have a soul. Other people have a soul. We're supposed to be functioning as a unit and as a family, and we have to protect that, and we have to protect ourselves from people who don't have that interest, who want to take advantage of us.